Here's why it's so important to honor your needs and honor your voice, because it's your sacred responsibility to share the things that are inside of you with others, to have incremental adjustment within your relationships. And that's so important for your growth and for their growth. And most importantly, for you to not be afraid of the outcomes and other people's opinions, especially when it comes to like setting boundaries, especially when you have needs that you want to be met. Let's get it. Yesterday, I made a video that I got into a very vulnerable and intentional conversation with my mom about some of her actions and behaviors. And it's a very vulnerable video, very long video, that I really wanted to share and express like some of the stuff that I'm dealing with and have been dealing with because I've suppressed it for so long. And I finally like told her all these things of how I felt. And I don't know how the outcome has turned out yet. I haven't talked to her since. I opened a door for healing and I expressed to her, this is how I feel when you do these things. And I would like you not to do these things anymore. Or just take a look at this. And all I could do is just express how I'm feeling. And that's it. The responsibility is on her. Yeah, she got defensive and attacked me on some things because she started to think she was associating herself with she is this bad person versus I did this. Because she hardly even apologized for the things that I told her that she did. Right? It was hard for her to look at. And sometimes looking at your shadow is so difficult when you start realizing like, oh crap, I hurt people in this way, and that's not what I want to be. I don't want to be a bad person. So at the end of our conversation, she was crying and saying, I'm a bad person. Like, well, how do you love a bad person? And I'm like, I don't think you're a bad person. This is why I'm expressing this stuff to you out of love, because I'm creating the opportunity for you to shift and be better. And that's up to you to take it or not. It was my responsibility to express how I'm feeling. Otherwise, I'm just suppressing this, and it's building, and it has built on. It's been suppressed. And after that, I let it go. And now I've released it. And I literally can care less if she shifts or not. That's up to her to choose. Except I know now that I've shared this, and I don't have to live the rest of my life wondering, would it have been possible for her to grow? And if I denied her that opportunity and myself the opportunity to grow and express my voice, like I would take that to my grave and be like, man, that sucks. I wish I did that. Because I want to show up fully, vulnerably, and authentically into the world how I am. Abso-freaking-lutely. And I do, to the best of my ability. And there's new layers to these things. That video was very vulnerable. Here's another thing. When I was working for LA Fitness for 2.5 years, I was a personal training director. And I got hired when I was 18 and promoted to personal training director at 18 years old. And that is the legal age of that company that you can start to work there. You have to be 18 to work there. So I got promoted from a personal training counselor to an assistant personal training director to a personal training director, while all the other personal training directors are like 26 and up. They're in their 30s and whatever, right? So I'm an 18-year-old based off of my sales ability, because I was so good at personal training sales. I got promoted to this position. And I'm walking around like a hot shot, outselling everybody. Everybody's wondering, what the heck am I doing? Right? And for like a month or two, it's been going on. And like, I don't really know how to manage people. I couldn't even train people the sales tactics that I knew how to actually help people, like the way I created diagrams and timelines and the science behind this stuff, because I was really good at this. That's why people bought. And I helped so many people. And I love that job for that. So that I couldn't train anyone underneath me because I didn't know how to manage people. I didn't understand like that part of the business. Nobody taught me. So I'm walking around calling my trainer, one of my trainers, Bud. He's like 28, I think, at the time, and working like part-time in the military and also being a personal trainer. And this guy's great, like, you know, good person. And then finally one day he comes and sits down and wants to talk to me. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, and he just kind of starts bashing me. And he's like, you're not a good manager. You're not this. You're not that. And it's so demeaning when you come up to me and you call me Bud. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there in my chair, like, I felt it was like an attack on me, right? Kind of like how my mom felt. And I started crying, right? Like I started like tearing up and crying. The GM had to like step in, the general manager for memberships. He had to kind of intervene eventually, but like at the point of it, like I couldn't even like, I started realizing like it's kind of hard for me and vulnerable. Like I always kind of start stuttering when I start expressing stuff I haven't really ever expressed before. When I realized like how I was treating this person and I wasn't doing it intentionally. I was having fun and I felt great and I felt like I was doing so well at my job. And what I realized was he was expressing his feelings and his needs to me. This is what I'm realizing now, right? It wasn't an attack on me. Well, I realized this like a while ago. It wasn't, now I'm sharing it. And it wasn't an attack on me. It was an opportunity for me to grow and get better. And I started crying. And I actually told him, I'm like, well, if you think that way, this can be your last day, right? Like I'm getting ready to let him go. And it's like, I didn't want to actually do that. I didn't know how else to respond. I just felt attacked. And, the GM stepped in after that. And like, I was tears running down my face and I was just kind of really hurt because I thought I was doing so good. And, I changed though. It gave me the opportunity to grow. I stopped calling him Bud. I still sold training and filled up his books. I didn't know how to manage people, right? And I took it as that lesson to improve. Now, this doesn't mean I have to shift to everybody's, if I really felt Bud was something so like important for me to keep calling people like, hey, Bud. And it's like, this guy's way older than me, right? It's like probably what you call your little kid or something, And you get it. Like, it was more like really belittling. He was expressing that to me. And I took it on as an attack of my character and that I'm not a good manager, even though I have the best numbers in our district. So it's like, it hurt because it came to the realization that there was more to this, right? And it gave me that opportunity to grow and I took it. And I shifted and I changed and I realized there's more to this than just numbers on a board. And my commissions or how, how many people I sign up and how I fill up their books so that way they can get paid. Like there was more to it. There was that emotional aspect. And in the same way, I was asking my mom for that. I was asking for her emotional intelligence and for her to start caring and showing that she actually feels, because I felt like she didn't or hasn't been. And sometimes you have to express these things to people in order for them to know. Because a lot of my life I spent avoiding expressing my needs and my feelings. And I was taught not to cry. I had an abusive dad that told me don't cry. And if I ever cried after he hit me, he'd hit me more. So I had to start learning to re-express myself. And what I've learned through that is the outcomes are always better than what I ever expect. And it hurt yesterday to get to the point where my mom started thinking she's a bad person. And it's like, no, I don't think she's a bad person. I don't think that at all. I never even said that. I said some of the things that you do may be toxic and they seem a little narcissistic. I'm not saying you're a narcissist, except it's not healthy for me. Especially like when I'm asking for an hour of your time when you are going to come and visit. And I want to sit down with you and have a heart-to-heart conversation and be vulnerable about how I feel. And you're telling me no. And it's like, now you don't even want to make time for me. And it's like, I see how I feel. Like you're dismissing me. You don't want to be around me. Like you don't actually care about how I feel. And you labeled my feelings as drama. That's what she did. She labeled them as drama in her life. Stress. And it's like, I can see how that's stressful because it does hurt to have to look within. Sometimes your shadow aspect, we're so afraid to look at it because we never want to be a bad person. Nobody does. I don't. And I haven't been the best person, the best version of me in parts and aspects of my life. Except I look back at those times and I cringe because I've grown. When you can look back at something and cringe, be like, I can't believe I did that. I'm sorry. Forgive yourself for it also because you didn't know better. Everybody's always acting at the highest level of consciousness that they're at. And that makes forgiveness so much easier. So keep this in mind. Allow yourself to express your voice with people. Let them know how you feel. Let them, and I challenge you, get into these intentional conversations because your intention is for growth. And it's going to feel like it's tense because you're in with this in this conversation. It may be some discomfort. You got to look past through that though. And sometimes that outcome can, you guys can both start crying because there's things that needed to be released and that were suppressed, which is great because you're alchemizing that pain and stress Heck, me and my little brother weren't doing so well, like not that long ago, and we had like this like in-depth conversation, and then we both just started crying because we both expressed to each other like how much we actually love and care for each other, and it's like, why are we like not communicating this way? Or there was some resentment building on over some certain stuff from the past, and we reached that point where it's like, I reached that point where I invited him into an emotional sanctuary, and I told him, hey, I want you to express how you feel. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to have these conversations with you. I only want the best for you. I had to say that. I had to take the courage to do that because I wanted the shift. We can't keep hiding behind maybe it'll change. We can't just keep thinking, and I listen to a lot of Abraham Hicks, and a lot of times she's like, just let the universe take care of it. Yeah, if you're able to release your feelings and still stay in a positive state no matter what, the universe can take care of it. Sometimes, though, part of the law of attraction manifesting is there's specific things that are necessary for your development, like learning how to express your voice and your needs and communicating with others on this planet. Because how else are you going to get through this? You want to start a business, you want to have a service or a product, you're going to have to communicate with people. Communication is the biggest key, and how you deliver what you want and are able to also fulfill other people's needs as well and make incremental adjustment to each other. If you want any strong connections with people, you have to step into being vulnerable. I did, and it changed my freaking life. Heck, look at this video. I would not be making this video right now if I had not done this. I'd be too afraid of other people's opinions, right? So, I challenge you. Choose to be better in your life. And I guarantee you, when you start being the better version of you, which you can start doing that right now, you will see tremendous change and an amazing shift in your reality. I guarantee you that. And it may feel discomforting. I know you're strong enough to do it. I mean, heck, if you're alive right now and you've been alive for a long time, you're resilient already. How many more ship storms do you have to keep going through? It's like, oh, I've already been through 100 storms of ships. I've already been through it. I've been so resilient, and I have. And I just try to steer my way out of it instead of going into the eye of the storm where that calm and peace and stillness is, and communicating from that place. Because you're in, and you have to bring yourself into a place of peace. Because when the water is boiling, and that's your emotions, and the other person's are, you're not going to get anywhere. It's gonna blow up. So let that water settle. Get to that stillness and peace. Pick your words, articulate, and convey the message that you want to share, which is always what you feel. I feel this way when you do this. And you put the responsibility on them. And sometimes it may hurt them, because it did to me. When one of my employees was telling me I'm not a good manager, right? And I realized it's not my numbers. I'm good at that part. I'm not good at like actually managing people. I wasn't then. I am now. Now's a different story. And that one conversation, that outcome shifted for me. Right. So sometimes we got to let go of the outcome. Sometimes you may ruin a relationship. Great. And maybe that was it. It was enough for you to learn how to set boundaries and express your needs. And it turns out that person wasn't going to be more in alignment with you. That relationship served its purpose, and that's good. Let go, release, and be grateful for having that experience with them. And whether if they choose to stay and make incremental adjustment with you, great. You're both growing together, and you can grow apart. If the relationship no longer serves, which means you do split, but you grow in your own ways. Okay? So I challenge you. Have an alchemizing day. Namaste.